The Good Fire by Jeffrey Sokol. Oh, the good fire of oak and of briar, the aroma, the space, and the glow. Where grandfather sat and I on his lap, with gaze upon new fallen snow. The smell of the leather made soft as a feather, books on mahogany wall. Wisps on the wind of that Virginia blend, no strain in my mind to recall. Let me reminisce of scent and of bliss, of days when worries were few. Oh, the good fire of oak and of briar, we owe recollection to you. Now, as a grown man, a son of my own, I pass along the tradition. As his son one day will traverse this paved way, fulfilling his God given mission. The oak and the briar of that good fire, never misplacing our trust. We pass this along through poem and song, though compared to hard root we are dust. By leaf and through sword, by cadence and chord, evangelization the aim. Oh, the good fire of oak and of briar, you inspire through brilliance of flame. You know, I wrote that poem as an homage to a time in history, not forgotten, but definitely deep in history. A time when studies and libraries were the norm as opposed to, the man cave thing, right? I recall when I was little, walking into my grandfather's study, and what was seen there, it's did not compare to the aroma. I walked in, and you'd smell that immediate smell of pipe tobacco, and it welcomed you into the warmth of the room. As soon as that door slid open, they had doors that went like this. As soon as that door slid open, you could that heavy oak door. You could just, and you smell that tobacco. You knew you were in a place where the men are, And as a child, this room to me was magnificent. It had beautiful fireplace and had books on bookshelves on either side. Had leather chairs on the left side and his roll top desk. He had a big oak roll top desk on the right hand side. And the walls had mounted ducks on them and deer and whatnot. And he had this beautiful walnut gun cabinet, the kind with the glass on the front. And I own some of those firearms from there. I split them up between my cousin and I. And most notably among those was a Browning made in Belgium, 12 gauge, and a Browning over and under. And I also have a 243 bolt action, 243 that I killed a lot of deer with when I was a kid. He also gave me a Ruger Red Label 20 gauge. That's an over and under to hunt dove. And I have a 22 rifle from there. And it was you have these things that connect you back, right? He had a whiskey valet, and at the time I didn't know what whiskey was, but now as somebody that enjoys whiskey and bourbon and scotch, he had all that in this cart with really nice crystal and whatnot. And he was in oil and gas, and he did pretty well for quite a while. And but this poem is about passing down legacy. And legacy, I didn't inherit anything from him, but memories and firearms, right? When the oil field went down in the 90s, he lost his business. But legacy is about the memories. It's about what we pass down to our kids, and it's about that's the gift, And I just remember there was between 600 and 1,000 people at that man's funeral. and he wasn't rich anymore, you know. But there were still 600 to 1,000 people at his funeral, and people love that man, you know, and with good reason. He's a good man. But when we see things today, things are so transient. People are so concerned about things that don't matter, things that will not hold up over time. If you look at the content being put out there today, when people post these ridiculous videos, I just saw a video of a guy pouring a Monster drink over his head just to keep somebody's attention. I mean, is that what you want your grandkids to see? You pouring a drink over your head like a clown? You know? Of course not. You know, and I mean, you're not going to put that around. But these things on the internet are forever. I write to preserve these things, you know. I write to make sure that my son and my grandson are going to have something from me, you know. And it's something aside from finance, aside from monetary things and things of, you know, earthly things of value. What I hope to pass down more than anything is wisdom. And if we can do that, if we can pass down a certain amount of wisdom and allow them to grow, allow them to make mistakes, but focus on what's truly important. That's going to be family. That's going to be how you treat one another. And of course, above all, it's going to be God, right? And when we understand that, and we understand that, you know, I used to struggle and push so hard on what to do next. Where is business going from here? What do we have going on? What I realized was, and it's because I feel like I was told this by the Lord, but what I realized was that whether it was a revelation or to me, or whether, you know, the Lord told it to me, whatever, doesn't matter. Results the same. But what I feel like is that He's going to let me know that next step, because He always has, you know. So you don't have to push so hard. Now, do what you're supposed to do. If you want to advance your business, you know, if you need to advertise, you need to make videos, you need to do whatever you need to do, sure, push to the extent that is necessary to get that accomplished. But to sit there and 24/7 just drive, you know, we only get so much time on this planet. And the fact that people are spending so much time and effort looking ridiculous, it's not serving anyone, you know. I mean, put your phone down. You know, that scrolling through TikTok or whatever, scrolling through shorts, scrolling through reels, it's not getting you anywhere, right? What I challenge you to do is pick up a real book. Pick up a real book, learn from people that have been around, learn from perspectives that have taken decades to cultivate, you know. And as you do that, learn from people like Chesterton, you know, G.K. Chesterton. He's excellent. Matter of fact, I've got a few of his books here. This is one excellent, In Defense of Sanity. Can you see that? In Defense of Sanity. He's an essayist. Basically, he's putting his opinions out there before there was YouTube, you know, and that's what it is. But he's got ideas, and he's got points of view that matter, you know. Just like today's medium for that is videos. but I feel like a more permanent medium of that is in the written word. Hope you got something out of this. Stay tuned. God bless you.